Woman in Gold is a drama film based on the true story of Maria Altman, an elderly Jewish refugee who, 60 years after she fled Vienna during World War II, starts a journey to retrieve her family possessions which were seized by the Nazis, among them being Gustav Klimt's iconic painting of Maria's aunt, the portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer. Together with her inexperienced but determined young lawyer, and with the help of an unexpected Austrian friend, they embark upon a legislative battle against the Austrian government that will take them all the way to the US Supreme Court, all the while coming to terms with certain difficult truths about their pasts. This film has been more positively received by audiences rather than it has been by critics, and I can kind of understand why. It hasn't necessarily been badly received by critics. It has an average of between like 5 and 6 on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's still like 50-50. It's still considered to be a mixed bag. It means that 1 in 2 critics didn't like it. And I guess that's probably not a gigantic surprise. This film is really nothing that special. I mean, chances are if you have seen, I don't know, like between 5 or 10 movies in your life, or at least like a couple of movies in your life, chances are you probably have seen something exactly like this. Now you know what I'm talking about. This is one of those light-hearted, inspirational, underdog stories about a person going against the odds, wanting to do something everyone else deems an impossible task. It could either be a lifelong ambition, or in this case wanting to see justice served. And if you can throw one heck of a powerhouse actress like Helen Mirren into the mix, your chances are much higher of getting some proper attention. Maybe some award nominations, some real recognition, This is exactly the type of film I would usually consider to be an Oscar bait. Now, this is a term used in the film community for films that appear to have been produced for the sole purpose of earning award nominations at the Academy Awards, and they usually present some very distinct characteristics. Usually they are released in autumn or very close to the end of the year, so they can still be fresh in the minds of Oscar voters, and many times there are these very lavishly produced period dramas set against tragic historical events such as the Holocaust, and they have very impressive cinematography, makeup, costume design, and production design. Just by watching the trailer, maybe I would have said that Woman in Gold presents all of these characteristics, but after watching the film itself, I really don't think it's the case. I mean, first of all, the film was released in April of 2015. There are no Oscar films that are released in the spring, unless maybe it's like a Grand Budapest Hotel or a Mad Max Fury Road. But yes, those are exceptional films, and they do get nominated based solely on their own merits. And I think a big difference between Woman in Gold and other period dramas set against the events of World War II that have had major success at the Academy Awards recently is that those films take place exclusively in the past, while this film takes place mostly in present-day Los Angeles and Vienna. Even though the past is interspersed in the film, we do get to see events taking place during the war. But it's nothing very complicated. It takes place on a very minor scale. Basically what we see like an apartment, a street, a subway, an airport, nothing very extravagant. And what's more, while there are definitely no bad performances in the film, I mean, come on, you really can't go wrong with Helen Mirren and Ryan Reynolds, there isn't really any clear indication that anyone is trying too hard, Like, there isn't really that big, gigantic moment when someone is either giving this very motivational speech, or this very heartbreaking moment when someone is crying their eyes out. Like, those types of moments do exist here somewhat, but they feel very subdued. I mean, those types of moments in a more Oscar-baity film like this would really stand out, really try to become the defining moments of the film. Like, here I felt that the flow was much more natural, maybe much more flat even. That might be the reason why some people might find this boring or uninteresting. But yeah, the film is very flat, but not in a bad way. This is a film that really reminded me why I don't use a rating system. I mean, I have no idea what grade I would give this. I liked it, but it's definitely not anything amazing. I mean, should I give it a 5 or a 6? That makes me feel like I'm considering it to be very mediocre. Should I give it a 7 or an 8? That makes me feel like I'm overpraising it. I don't know, I think I'm gonna just continue telling my opinions about movies without rating them. All I'm gonna say is that if you're like me, if you're a sucker for these actors, if you're a sucker for biopics, if you're a sucker for stories about the events of World War II, if you're a sucker for period pieces, if you're a sucker for courtroom dramas, I think you can watch this. I think it's very decent and it's definitely not a waste of time. And I hope you don't think this review was a waste of your time. Thanks for watching, as always. Hope to see you later with other reviews. Until then, take care folks, and goodbye.